Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great fall break so far. As I promised, I'm going to upload a video just to go through a couple more examples to give you guys a refresher from stuff we did on Friday. So if you prefer cross-canceling, you do not have to go exactly through my step-by-step process. But if you want to follow it, what I'm going to show you, it will be a little bit longer, but I think it's an easier way overall. So the first step, what I want you to do is I want you to multiply or distribute straight across. Remember, when we multiply fractions, we are going to actually multiply them straight across. After that, what I want you to do is reduce all of the fractions. And then I want you to multiply by the LCD, or the least common denominator. And then lastly, you can just solve for x. After you've done step 3, you shouldn't have any more fractions in the problem that are remaining, so you can just solve for x, and it'll look like a pretty easy algebra problem that you can solve at that point. So let's go ahead and start with letter C. This will follow along with your notes if you're looking on Google Classroom. Okay, so step 1. I'm going to multiply or distribute straight across. So I'm going to have 3 times 2, which is going to give me 6, over 8 times 3, which is 24. And then anytime you see just a whole number or an integer, what you can do is you can put it over 1 to make it into a fraction. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 over 8 times 1. That's 8. Then if I go to the other side, 15 times 12 is going to be 180, and 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And then 15 times 4 is 60 over 4 times 1, that is 4. All right, now I can reduce these a little bit. 6 over 24, you can divide each the top and the bottom by 6 to get 1 over 4. 12 and 8, you can reduce both of those by 4. So you're going to get negative 3 over 2. 180 divided by 20, that's just going to be 9. 60 over 4 is just 15. All right, so now what I have is I have step 2 finished up, and I have some fractions that are remaining. So step 3, I want to multiply through by the LCD, or the least common denominator. This one's pretty nice because 2 is actually a factor of 4. So the least common denominator here is going to be the thing that I can multiply by that will cancel all the fractions out and just give me integers. So I can actually multiply this entire thing by 4. Again, if you prefer the cross reduction method, or the cross canceling method, whatever you prefer to call it, some of this might seem redundant, like we're going backwards, but I think it's the easiest way to break it down so that you don't get too confused with the fractions. So 4 times 1 is 4, divided by 4, that's 1, so I'm going to get x. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, divided by 2, it's negative 6. 4 times 9 is 36x, and 4 times 15 is 60. Okay, now I have a really easy equation to solve here. So step 4, I'm going to bring that back down, and I can solve. So if I want to get the numbers to one side, and then I can subtract 36x to get the x's on the other side. And lastly, I want to divide by negative 35 so I can get x by itself. And that would be all you have to do. The last one I want to discuss is letter G. So, if you remember, inequalities are pretty much the same as equations. The only difference is you have to flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative. So I'm going to go through letter G here. I have 17 over 2 is less than or equal to negative 3 over 2 x plus 4, which is less than 13. Okay. Now, in order to cancel all the fractions, what I'm going to do is multiply by the least common denominator. So I have no fractions to distribute here, multiply out, so I can skip step 1. The fractions are already reduced as much as possible, so I can skip step 2. Now I'm going to multiply by the LCD, which here would be 2. So if I multiply this entire thing by 2, it'll look a little bit like this. Now when I do 2 times 17, that'll give me 34. Divided by 2, that will give me 17. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Divided by 2 is negative 3. 2 times 4 is just 8. 2 times 13 is 26. Okay. Now at this point, what I can do is just get x by itself. Remember, when we have compound inequalities, it's the same thing as solving an equation or regular inequality. We just have to repeat the process for all of the pieces in the inequality. So if I was to want to solve this middle part for x, what I would have to do first is subtract the 8. So I'm going to copy this back down here and then subtract 8. So 17 minus 8, that's going to give me 9, is less than negative 3x, which is less than 26 minus 8 is 18. Now if I divide all of these by negative 3, 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. I'm dividing by a negative, so I need to flip that sign. Is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than 18 divided by negative 3, which would be negative 6. Then what I can do is I can reverse the order of this, just so I'm going in order from least to greatest. And that'll be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Enjoy the rest of your fall break, and I will see you on Tuesday.